The lottery ticket sat crumpled in my jacket pocket for almost 3 hours before I checked the numbers for a second time. I was standing alone in my apartment kitchen, staring at my phone, convinced I had read them wrong. Nobody wins $4.2 million. Not people like me. Not people who spent years calculating whether they could afford extra cheese on a pizza. My hands shook so badly that I dropped the phone. I picked it up. Checked again. Then again. The numbers matched. Every single one. I had won $4.2 million. For a few minutes I couldn't breathe. My heart hammered so hard I thought I might pass out. I laughed. Then I cried. Then I laughed again. I wasn't thinking about sports cars or mansions. I was thinking about freedom. No more overdraft fees. No more choosing between repairing my car and paying down debt. No more working 70-hour weeks. For the first time in my life, I felt safe. The next day I hired a lawyer and financial advisor. They both gave me the same advice. Tell as few people as possible. I intended to follow that advice. I really did. But then I made one mistake. I told my parents. My mother cried when I shared the news. My father wrapped me in a hug. "We're so proud of you," Mom said. I remember feeling relieved. I thought the money wouldn't change anything. I was wrong. The first few days seemed normal. Then the phone calls started. At first they were small requests. My cousin needed help paying medical bills. An uncle wanted assistance with business debt. A distant relative I'd barely spoken to in 10 years suddenly wanted to reconnect. I was uncomfortable, but I didn't blame anyone. News travels fast in families. Then my mother began calling every day. She wanted to discuss responsibility. I didn't think much of it. Until one Sunday afternoon. She invited me over for dinner. The moment I walked into my parents' dining room, I knew something was different. My mother had papers spread across the table. My father sat silently beside her. 3 of my aunts were there. 2 cousins. Even my older brother, Jason. Everyone looked serious. My stomach tightened. "What's going on?" I asked. Mom smiled. "We've been discussing the future." I sat down slowly. "The future of what?" "The family." A strange silence followed. Then she pushed a folder toward me. "Open it." Inside were printed spreadsheets. Budgets. Mortgage balances. Credit card debt. Medical expenses. Vacation plans. Business proposals. I looked up in confusion. "What is this?" Mom folded her hands. "A fair distribution plan." I laughed because I genuinely thought she was joking. Nobody else laughed. The smile vanished from my face. "What do you mean?" She pointed to the papers. We calculated everything carefully. A cold feeling spread through my chest. Calculated what? Then she said words I will never forget. "You should give 92% of your winnings to the family." The room became perfectly silent. I stared at her. Certain I had misunderstood. 92%? Yes. I waited for someone to say it was a joke. Nobody did. Mom leaned forward. "You'll still have over $300,000 left." 300,000. Out of $4.2 million. I looked around the room. My brother wouldn't meet my eyes. My cousins stared at the table. My father looked exhausted. I felt as though reality had suddenly tilted sideways. "You want me to give away nearly all of it?" "It's not giving it away," Mom said firmly. "It's sharing." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. "I won that money." "And you won it because God blessed our family." "Our family?" "Exactly." She tapped the spreadsheet. We all sacrificed to raise you. I stared at her. She continued. Your father and I paid for your food. I blinked. That's what parents do. We provided a home. That's also what parents do. Her expression hardened. You owe us. The room felt smaller. Much smaller. I suddenly remembered dozens of moments from my childhood. Mom reminding me how expensive I was. Mom keeping score whenever she bought me clothes. Mom listing every sacrifice she'd ever made. At the time I'd thought it was normal. Now I realized something. She had never viewed parenting as love. She viewed it as an investment. An investment she expected returned with interest. I stood up. No. The word echoed through the room. Mom looked shocked. What? No. Her face turned red. You haven't even reviewed the proposal. I don't need to. My brother finally spoke. Maybe you should hear her out. I stared at him. You agree with this? He shrugged. We're family. There it was. The phrase people use when they want something. Family. Not when they're giving. Only when they're taking. Mom pointed to the papers. Jason's mortgage can be paid off. Jason looked hopeful. Your cousin needs a new vehicle. My cousin nodded. Aunt Linda needs surgery. Another nod. And we deserve to retire comfortably. I couldn't believe the entitlement. Not one person had asked. They had already spent the money in their minds. My money. I pushed the folder away. No. Mom stood up. You are being selfish. The accusation hit me like a slap. Selfish. After years of helping everyone whenever I could. After lending money I never got back. After babysitting relatives' children. After showing up whenever someone needed me. Now I was selfish because I wouldn't surrender 92% of my winnings. I laughed. Not because anything was funny. Because it was unbelievable. Mom's eyes narrowed. What's so amusing? You. The room froze. She looked genuinely offended. I continued. You don't see me as your son right now. What? You see me as a bank account. The words landed like a bomb. Her face darkened. How dare you? Tell me I'm wrong. She couldn't. Nobody could. The dinner ended with shouting. I left. For several days my phone exploded with messages. Relatives accused me of greed. Friends of relatives I barely knew sent lectures about generosity. Even people who had ignored me for years suddenly became experts on morality. One message from my aunt said, money reveals who people really are. She meant me. The irony was breathtaking. Then things got worse. A week later my mother posted on social media. She didn't mention me by name. But everyone knew who she meant. She wrote about a son who had forgotten the family that raised him. A son who chose wealth over love. A son who abandoned his parents. Hundreds of comments appeared. Most supported her. People love judging situations they don't understand. The post spread through the community. Neighbors whispered. Old friends reached out. Some stopped speaking to me entirely. I felt betrayed. Then my father called. For the first time since the dinner. His voice sounded tired. Can we meet? I agreed. We met at a small diner. He looked older than I remembered. Much older. After ordering coffee, he sat quietly for a long time. Finally he sighed. I'm sorry. The words surprised me. For what? Everything. I waited. Then he told me something that changed everything. The spreadsheets hadn't been created by the family. They had been created by my mother months before I won. My stomach dropped. What? Dad nodded. Your mother has been drowning in debt. I stared. How much debt? He gave a bitter laugh. More than anyone knows. The truth came out slowly. Secret credit cards. Failed investments. Luxury purchases hidden from everyone. Loans. Personal debts. Financial disasters. Mom owed over $3 million. I sat frozen. $3 million. She wasn't trying to help the family. She was trying to save herself. Everything suddenly made sense. The pressure. The manipulation. The social media campaign. The demand for 92%. Dad looked ashamed. She thought your winnings were the solution. I felt sick. For years she had presented herself as responsible. Turns out she had built a mountain of debt behind closed doors. And now she expected me to erase it. I asked one question. Does the family know? Dad shook his head. No. That night I made a decision. A difficult one. I called a family meeting. Everyone came. The same people who had attended the original dinner. My mother arrived looking confident. She probably expected me to surrender. Instead, I handed out copies of documents. Real documents. Debt records. Loan statements. Financial reports. The room became silent. People flipped through pages. Faces changed. Confusion became shock. Shock became anger. Then everyone looked at my mother. She turned pale. What is this? Jason asked. No answer. My aunt stared at the numbers. $3 million? Still no answer. I stood. The 92% wasn't for the family. Mom whispered my name. I ignored her. It was to pay off her debts. Gasps filled the room. Jason looked devastated. You lied to us? My mother's composure cracked. Tears appeared. But nobody moved to comfort her. For once, tears weren't enough. The truth had arrived. And it was impossible to hide. The room erupted. Questions. Accusations. Arguments. Years of secrets pouring into the open. I simply sat there. Watching. Listening. Feeling strangely calm. Eventually everyone left. One by one. The house emptied. Until only my mother and I remained. She looked smaller than I had ever seen her. Older. Defeated. For several minutes neither of us spoke. Then she whispered, I was scared. I believed her. But fear doesn't excuse betrayal. I know. I didn't know what else to do. You could have told the truth. She looked away. I thought you'd help. I would have. Her head snapped up. What? I nodded. I would have helped. Tears filled her eyes. If you had come to me honestly, I would have helped. She began crying. Real crying this time. Not manipulation. Not performance. Just regret. But you tried to take everything. The words hung between us. She had no response. Because there wasn't one. A month later I established trust funds for my nieces and nephews. I paid for Aunt Linda's surgery. I helped my father retire comfortably. Not because anyone demanded it. Because I chose to. The difference mattered. As for my mother, I helped her negotiate repayment plans and avoid bankruptcy. But I didn't erase the debt. She had to face the consequences of her choices. For the first time in her life, nobody rescued her. 2 years have passed since then. The money changed my life. But not in the way people imagine. The biggest lesson wasn't financial. It was personal. I learned that money doesn't create character. It reveals it. The moment that lottery ticket turned into $4.2 million, masks started falling off. Some people showed greed. Some showed loyalty. Some showed envy. Some showed love. And one person revealed a truth I had never wanted to see. My mother wasn't destroyed by money. She was exposed by it. The real shock wasn't that I won $4.2 million. The real shock was discovering that the person who should have been happiest for me was the one most willing to take everything away.